Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Finch Devil's Finger. Really cool, straightforward design. This is absolutely available right now if you're watching it at the time of, the upload date is the same as when you're watching it. You'll be able to find a link for this knife and its current forms, the other forms that it takes, right down in the description. So I urge you to check that out if you'd like to. Thanks so much to Finch for sending this in for me to review. I appreciate that. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement real quick. The overall length of the Devil's Finger is coming in at 7 1/4. Blade length is coming in at 3 1/8, and the cutting edge is coming in just shy of 3 inches. How about some size comparisons? Up against, oh my gosh, my knives are scattered today. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1, terrible deployment there, sorry about that, and the Ontario Rat Model 2. Very similar in overall size to the Ontario Rat Model 2, so if you enjoy this knife, you might really enjoy the size of the Devil's Finger. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out? This is also fairly similar in size, and it's got some profile similarities to the Benchmade Bug Out. So there you go. Last but not least, the Spyderco PM2. Let's straighten this guy out just a little bit. Spyderco PM2 and its little brother, the Para 3. Definitely the exact same length overall as the Para 3, but obviously the profile is quite a bit different. How about carry profile? So thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little thicker, but this guy is also contoured, so keep that in mind. That's always a bonus, in my opinion, when knives are contoured. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here, body-wise, shorter than both, and even including the flipper tab, which is pretty low profile. It's nowhere near as tall as that hump in the Para 3. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. Look at how fast I was with those calipers today. I knew exactly where they were. On. There we go. We should probably push the button that says on instead of pushing the button that says 0. Let's go ahead and measure here. So 115 thousandths, not a thick spine, which means the blade edge is probably also going to be fairly thin. That's nice. Materials, what are we looking at here? 154 cm micarta and some countersunk steel liners on the inside, which is always nice to see. Those are on both sides. Running on bearings. We'll talk about the action here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and weigh it. I'm going to guess this knife weighs something like 3 to 3.5 ounces. There you go, 3 ounces. Almost what I'd consider to be ultra lightweight. Those are nice ratios there. For those of you who are big into ratios, overall length or blade length to weight ratio, if you go by the whole ounce and inch rule, then there you go. This one's on. And it's not a super bulky, thick, tall, wide object, right? So this is going to be pretty good all the way around. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description section that says my tools. Pivot, T8, very nice. I thought we were going to get it. These are going to be T6. Pocket clip screws also going to be T8, but a couple of T6 screws on each side. Not a deal breaker. I prefer to see T8, but it is minimal. Just make sure you've got the right tools, stuff that fits. Make sure you are careful, have a place to put your hardware, and you should be just fine. Let's go ahead and move on here. This has the little glow crest, which you can get my flashlight down in the description. These are, if you've not seen this, I always think this is cool. I wonder if I can get that to really shine. I'll have to turn the lights off here. But I've always thought that that's something that's really cool about Finch knives, is that it's got this little glow crest on it. I mean, is that really going to serve much of a purpose day to day? No, not really. It's just a neat thing that's there, and it's not in the way at all. They also do a really good job of inlaying it. Like, there's no ugly gaps or anything like that. I just think it's nice, right? It glows for a fair amount of time and then it stops, right? It's just cool. Ergonomics on this knife, it's a pretty simple, straightforward handle. That flipper tab wants to dig into your index finger a little bit, but outside of that, I don't have much in the way of a complaint here. This is just a straight area. They have done what I always ask. I understand that if you keep all the lines straight, you achieve a specific, simple aesthetic, but if you're gonna do that, the problem is, if it's a liner lock or a frame lock, it doesn't leave any room to engage the lock from the side. In this case, it does, because they have knocked this little area out right here. So that means that you can do that without having to push down and into it and pinch your finger, right? So that's nice. Thank you for doing that. The rest of it, though, not much in the way of a lock-in. It's comfortable because it is, I'm not going to say thick. It's contoured and reasonably, like, a little thicker than the Para 3, right? So it's good. Nothing spectacular, but it absolutely works. You're going to be feeling that flipper tab a little bit, but you can get a full four-finger grip on it. Pocket clip, since it's wire style, really is nothing in terms of, like, the whole hot spotness thing. No, it's fine. Let's see here. The blade, also very straightforward. I'm gonna call it a drop point, modified drop point. I don't know. I don't know if I really want to get hung up in the, all the weeds of defining this blade specifically for what it is or classifying it. There's a flat that carries out about 80%, 75 to 80% the length of the blade. There's a nice swedge up here. These corners are all nicely knocked down. This particular one is black washed. I'd imagine that there are a few different color and configurations. There's even a DLT Trading exclusive with, I think, 10 micarta. I'll let you check them all out. I'll link them all down below. Blade is done well. It says Finch on one side, and then it says 154 cm Devil's Finger on the other. Don't think we need the Devil's Finger. I think we know that when we buy it. Okay, it's not hurting anything. 154 cm, that's fine. If you don't know, 154 cm is still one of my favorite steels out there. 154 cm / CPM 154 holds a reasonable edge, is very, very easy to sharpen, is stainless, and very tough. It is one of the most well-rounded compositions out there, and if you're worried, it's not the powder form version, 154 cm in its ingot form has a very fine-grained structure. So the difference between the ingot version and the CPM version is very little. A slight increase in toughness for CPM 154, but not anything you're really going to notice day to day. It's still a very good steel, and I have no problem with it at this price point. The edge is done very well. Nice, even cutting bevels. Is there a little bit? I think there might be a teeny tiny bit of a smile right down there at the back. Just a little bit. Not that big of a deal. Everything else is nice and even. Edge feels good, nice and smooth, and it's plenty sharp, plenty pokey as well. You can see the taper there. Yeah, good. This is a fantastic EDC blade. Not going to have an issue with that. Action. Flipping action's good. As far as like the breakaway from the detent, you're going to have to kind of intentionally light switch this because you're going to want to go to push button it and it's a little bit pokey. It's also, you're not going to get the leverage that you want. You're going to need to do that. The action is all right. It's not going to fall shut. It's just not going to. It's a little tiny bit gritty. I'm feeling kind of a right here and then down. Some of the knives that I've handled from Finch have been really smooth and some of them have not. I'd like to see, I think, some more consistency inside of the pivot. This is running on bearings and I have definitely felt washer knives with smoother action. Does it work? Is the detent heavy enough to get the knife to deploy? Yes, obviously it's doing that, right? There's no double clutch. We're close, but there's no double clutch, so you can turn it and then shake it because that detent ball is already up on the face of the tang, so that's good. For those of you going, what the heck is he talking about? So yeah, it does work. I just like it to be a little bit smoother because we have knives that cost a lot less money that have figured out the surfaces, getting the bearings to interact with the surface of the blade and the detent ball, right? If we're talking about things that affect action, the tension on the lock bar and the interaction between the detent ball and the face of the tang, all of those things I think could be tuned a little bit better and get the action a little bit more up to standard, but it's okay in its current form. You can mount the pocket clip on this side for left-handed carry. So lefties, this is not a right-handed liner lock, but as you can see here, as a right-handed person, I have no problem engaging or disengaging that lock or flipping it with my left hand. So there you go. You can still carry it. We have a couple of standoffs back here. That's fine. Wire clip is good, except why the drop and then the up and then the build? Like, just down, swoop up. That's all it really needed to be. But it's fine. It works in its current form. It's just... that's just odd to me, but I don't know. It's not going to affect most people. It's going to work just fine for most people. It's just with this angle down, or with it being straight, it will fight some pocket seams. When you have pocket clips that rise continuously, they will just rise to meet nearly whatever thickness of pocket seam. So you can do it with one hand instead of lifting it with the hand and then pushing, all right, nitpicky reviewer stuff. But yeah. I do like how these are mounted, right? It's just one screw, and it holds in there really well, so you generally don't have to worry about the pocket clip failing for any reason. The stop pin on this knife is located inside. It's actually attached to the blade. So I wonder if we can, yeah. So as I move this around, you can see that there's this bar right here that's moving with the blade. That's a nice way to do that. Since the pins touch both sides of the frame, it acts as sort of pressure mitigation. So if you're doing something not so knifey with your knife, there's a little bit less pressure on the pivot, and it mitigates it away to the liners, which is good. Not anything that's really going to make that much of a difference, but it's nice when you see it. The liner lock engages at, can we see? Yeah, something like 40%, which is fine. No blade play up, down, left, or right, nothing. Is there any pivot lash? No, there's no pivot lash. Is there any detent lash? No. What am I talking about? I'm talking about movement in the pivots. I'm wanting to make sure that the pivot barrel is machined properly for the hole that they cut in the blade. It is perfectly machined. Down here, is there excess wiggle? Is the detent hole too big for the ball? Is it click, 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 the blade moving around in there? No, it's all solid. It's a good design. I wish that the flipper tab wasn't so pokey right there because you're kind of limited on space right here. It'd be nice to have a little bit more than just a straight line right here for, you know, holding on to it, but it's comfortable enough. And really though, I wish the action was just a little bit better on this guy. It's good. I just, you know, I'm okay with the materials on the, you know, like the handle. I'm okay with the micarta, the blade steel, all that. I just, if this had a little bit smoother action, I want to be clear about this. Good action to me is not fall shut action. I don't need it to fall shut. I just don't like to feel grittiness in there. Over time, will that smoothen up? Yes. Are there ways that you can improve the action? Yes. You can pick up 10 weight nano oil right down in my description and add some to the detent. But you can take this knife apart, which it'll be really easy. You can take the washers out. You can take the liners out, right? Clean all the surfaces, the blade, the liners, clean the washers off, right? You can add some oil in here with the washers and the surfaces and things. Then you can add some oil to the face of the blade tang and a little teeny tiny drop on the detent ball itself, and it'll probably help it a little bit. It'd be nice if it was a little bit better out of box, but I'm not saying the action's bad. I'm saying I would grade the action as a B- versus other things in this direct competition zone. All the way around, is this a good knife? Yeah, these knives come in at about $130, which I do not have a problem with. This knife is not manufactured in the United States. The company is based in Stillwell, Kansas, which I think it still says, yeah, on the box. But they're very clear. If you go and look at manufacturer sites, or if you go and look at their site, they're very clear about that. They're not manufactured in the United States. Still, though, nice quality. What I want to see at this price point, minus the action, I think they could be a little better there. But for this particular design, yeah, I think this is a good design. I think this is a straightforward. I mean, there's an overabundance of straightforward general EDC looking knives, but this is a good design. Generally speaking, yeah, this is a knife that I think I can recommend. This is kind of an everyman's knife. This is, you know, if you're just looking for a straightforward design that's got good materials and is made well, you know, is this a good knife? Yeah, it's a decent value. There's really, I mean, when I say everyman's knife, like, I mean, this is really like a straightforward, you know, I can pretty much say, yeah, most people are going to be okay with that. There's some reasonable competition out there. I mean, there are definitely knives out there that I would say I like a little bit more, but this is still a good knife for the price. I can't deny that. Look around, shop a little bit, right? But if you really like how this knife looks, it's certainly not a bad buy. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Short and sweet. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.